Noye's Flood is a one-act opera composed by Benjamin Britten, primarily for amateur performers, but in particular children. First premiered in 1958 at Benjamin Britten's own festival in Aldborough, the story is based on the Old Testament. This production of Noye's Flood, co-produced between Opera Northern Ireland and the Katie Wong Foundation, was first conceived as one of the leading cultural projects for the London 2012 Olympics as part of the Cultural Olympiad. Directed by Oliver Mears, then Artistic Director of Opera Northern Ireland, and designed by Simon Lima Holdsworth, this production perfectly encapsulates the ideals of the Katie Wong Foundation of creating cultural collaborations between China and the United Kingdom. Britten specified that Noye's Flood should not be staged in theatres or opera houses, but in halls, churches, unusual spaces, or outdoors. In this case, our production of Noye's Flood was staged at Belfast Zoo. The lakeside performances of Benjamin Britten's celebrated opera captured the sights and sounds of the famous story of Noah, his ark, the animals, and the flood. This production of Noye's Flood had 2 professional opera singers, 8 solo child singers, and a spectacular chorus of over 80 children. This unique opera also featured 9 professional musicians and a cast of 50 or more child musicians in the orchestra. The designs were specifically inspired by a particular collection at the Natural History Museum called the Reeves Collection of animals and flowers found in China in the 19th century. Simon was inspired by this extraordinary collection to create his own vision of what these animals should look like. They had to be carried by children of all ages, ranging from 5-6-year-olds to 8 to 9-year-olds or 13, 14-year-olds. Using the finest Chinese craftsmanship, the unique costumes and props presented a joint collaboration between Chinese and British designers, exploring many of China's rich artisan traditions, from traditional paper-making, kites, and lanterns. The children parade nearly life-size paper animal lanterns and kites, all handcrafted in the town of Weifang, the traditional village for lantern making in Shandong province. These designs are embedded in the rich history of Chinese crafts and tie the production of this opera simultaneously to the original Old Testament story, but also to China and the children who sit at the heart of the opera. We thought we had a rather clever idea of creating a Chinese junk, i.e. a Chinese traditional sailing boat with sails, to represent Noah's Ark, but hewn from container shipping metal bases that's familiar to us all in the modern world. So in this case, the old and the new, the international trading world we all inhabit, are seamlessly and beautifully connected to tell this ancient fable. very proud to have been able to bring our production of Noye's Fludde to China, specifically Beijing, in the Beijing Music Festival in 2012, as this was the first ever Benjamin Britten opera to be performed there. The artistic team and some of the professional singers, including the child professional singers, traveled with us to premiere the first of Britten's operas in China. Oliver Mears, our director, Simon Lima Holdsworth, the designer, and Nicholas Chalmers, our intrepid conductor, who took on the task of training and rehearsing with Chinese singers, children singers, and Chinese young musicians. In China, we were not allowed to perform in any zoo, and we were then given an opportunity to perform in a shopping center. We created a new landscape on both sides for this long vertical shoebox that we were performing in, with a big video of Chinese landscape that would go very well with the Chinese junk and all the Chinese lanterns. The show in Shanghai was slightly different, but this time we were allowed to perform outside. However, we were allowed to perform in the only green space left in Shanghai, a green park that was not very large, right in the midst of all these huge high-rises and landscapes. So our poster marketing was Noye's Fludde comes to Shanghai's urban jungle. In July 2017, Neville Holt Opera staged 4 performances of our Noye's Fludde as the culmination of the 2017 Summer Festival. More than 1,000 children participated in the workshops for Neville Holt's first community project, and over 100 children performed in the final professional production. The timing of this production of Noye's Fludde has never been more significant. In the wake of increasing challenges facing the modern world, Britten's tale evokes the relationship between man and his environment, and also the idea of biodiversity, which Noye practiced when he brought along a pair of each animal on earth onto his ark. We hope very much to be able to come to London and perhaps one day to return to China, and my dream is to perform in one of the most famous scenic spots in China, Hangzhou, the city famous for its beautiful lakes, which I think would be absolutely wonderful. The Katie Wong Foundation is proud to support the tourism and cultural initiatives led by the China National Tourist Office and the Culture Office here at the Chinese Embassy in London.